The president of the National Electoral Council of Venezuela, Indira Alfonso, assured that it's all ready for the holding of the parliamentary elections next Sunday, December the 6th. U.S. President Donald Trump's legal team filed a new lawsuit challenging the election results in the state of Wisconsin this Tuesday. Rescue operations continue in Bindura town of Zimbabwe, with hopes of finding survivors after a shaft in a disused gold mine collapsed last week, trapping a group of informal miners. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada. And we begin this news brief in Venezuela, where the president of the National Electoral Council, Indira Alfonso, assured that it's all ready for holding the parliamentary elections next Sunday, December the 6th.
That moment for Venezuela is staying off a strong, unequivocal, and irreversible fact, that is that the conditions, guarantees, and logistical, technological operations and all those that lead to the electoral event are already given. Only the vote of the Venezuelan on December 6th to exercise the right to vote.
Indira Alfonso also announced that the electoral authorities in Venezuela have structured a biosafety plan that covers all phases before, during, and after the election day.
Structure a strategic biosafety plan that establishes not only on the date of the vote in the electoral horseshoe that we call at the great voting table, we also have it in each of the pre-electoral phases as in audits that are carried out in each of these spaces.
And Venezuela's president, Nicolás Maduro Moros, announced he had accepted the challenge posed by several opposition parties who have described the upcoming parliamentary elections as a referendum on his constitutional mandate.
So, I have thought, okay, look, I want you to understand me. I have thought very hard. I am a warrior, a fighter. I have never surrendered, nor will I ever surrender. And that is why I say to Javier Bertucci, to Henry Falcón, to Bernabé Gutiérrez, to all the opposition I say, I accept the challenge. Next Sunday, I accept the challenge. We will see who wins. If we win, we will move forward. But I also have to say, I say this to the people, that I place my destiny in your hands. If the opposition wins again, I will leave the presidency. If the opposition wins the elections, I would not remain here any longer. I place my destiny in the hands of the people of Venezuela.
In a meeting held in the lead-up to the Venezuelan parliamentary elections on December 6, President Nicolás Maduro stressed the significance of the vote.
Regarding next Sunday's elections, we are talking about historic elections, when we are going to choose the future of the country, whether we want an independent, sovereign, upstanding, rebellious Venezuela, proud of its history, or simply hand the National Assembly back to the right and the opposition.
And Venezuelan authorities ordered the implementation of the Republic Plan, which establishes security measures in order to guarantee the smooth holding of the parliamentary elections on December the 6th. The president of the National Electoral Council, Indira Alfonso, ordered to start implementing the plan, which consists of the logistics for the distribution of electoral materials and establishes the security measures to ensure that the Venezuelans can exercise their right to vote with peace of mind. In order to secure the protection and transparency of the democratic process this Sunday, the plan also includes the participation of military personnel and the Public Prosecutor's Office, which offered their support to the electoral authority. The strategic operational commander of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, Remigio Ceballos, has ratified the body's total support to the electoral power in the framework of the security deployment in the lead-up to the Sunday's parliamentary elections.
Before I begin this deployment, ordered by our Commander-in-Chief, Nicolás Maduro Moros, constitutional President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, democratically elected by the Venezuelan people in a free, universal, direct, and secret ballot, with the full endorsement of the National Electoral Council, the electoral power in Venezuela, I must ratify the order issued by our President, the total and unrestricted support to the National Electoral Council.
El poder electoral en Venezuela. Debo ratificar la orden emanada de nuestro presidente.
Uruguay's government has announced Tuesday new stricter measures to halt the spread of COVID-19 in the country. Among the measures are the imposition of telework in all offices of the public sector, the cancellation of all indoor sports, the suspension of end-of-year events in educational institutes, and the closure of bars, restaurants, and related establishments at 12 o'clock. The action comes followed by an increase in cases in recent weeks. The objective is to prevent the milestone of 350 cases per day, thus reaching an orange alert in the South American country, which had had a good management of the coronavirus spread.
On December 18th, we will make an evaluation. On December 18th, let's hope that we have managed not to lower the cases, but that this second or third wave around the world does not drag us down.
Dominican Republic's foreign minister and his Haitian counterpart signed an agreement to reactivate the Joint Commission to deal with bilateral issues affecting both nations. The high-level commission, established in 1966, has been interrupted on several occasions by problems of population movement with economic implications, such as the displacement of Haiti women to the Dominican Republic to give birth in Dominican hospitals. Both the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Roberto Alvarez, and his Haitian counterpart, Claude Youssef, agreed on the intention to work in a friendly and good neighborly relations in common interest. And we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. U.S. President Donald Trump's legal team filed a new lawsuit challenging the election results in the state of Wisconsin this Tuesday. The lawsuit seeks to disqualify more than 221,000 ballots in the state's two most Democratic counties, representing a long-shot attempt to overturn Joe Biden's win in the battleground state. Trump filed the suit a day after Democratic Governor Tony Evers and the chairwoman of the Wisconsin Elections Commission certified Biden as the winner of the state's 10 electoral college votes, with a lead of over 20,000 ballots. Trump asked the Wisconsin Supreme Court to take the case directly, rather than have it start in a lower court, and ordered Evers to withdraw the certification. The latest lawsuit, the third that the Trump campaign has filed in Wisconsin, challenges election procedures that have been in place for years and never been found to be illegal. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden officially unveiled his economic team this Tuesday, which, if confirmed, includes a number of historic firsts. The six-person economic team Biden has tapped, which has revealed on Monday, is a who's who list of veterans from previous Democratic administrations, and 4 of its members are women. The team is headed by former Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen, nominated for the Treasury Secretary, who will become the first woman to lead the department in its over 200 years of existence. Other picks include Cecilia Rose, an economist at Princeton University, who will be the first Black woman to lead the Council of Economic Advisors. Economists Heather Boushey and Jared Bernstein were named as council members, both of whom serve as economic advisors to Biden during his time as vice president. Biden also named Wally Adeyemo, who, if confirmed, will become the Treasury Department's first Black deputy secretary. Finally, Neera Tanden, president of the Center of American Progress think tank, was nominated for head of the Office of Management and Budget.
economy moving again. We're going to create jobs, raise incomes, reduce drug prices, advance racial equity across the economy, and restore the backbone of this country, the middle class. Our message to everybody struggling right now is this: help is on the way.
I'm here today because of social programs, because of budgetary choices, because of a government that saw my mother's dignity and gave her a chance. Now it is my profound honor to help shape those budgets and programs to keep lifting Americans up, to pull families back from the brink, to give everybody the fair chance my mom got.
Nurses at 2 hospitals in New York went on strike on Tuesday, seeking to resolve stalled contract talks as COVID-19 hospitalizations rose across the U.S. state. Nurses in New Rochelle began a 2-day strike against Montefiore New Rochelle Hospital, calling for a fair contract and more staffing. Meanwhile, nurses at Albany Medical Center Hospital began a 24-hour strike Tuesday over their deadlocked contract negotiations, as well as complaints of inadequate coronavirus protocols. Nurses at both hospitals are represented by the New York State Nurses Association, which filed a complaint with the Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration on Monday, alleging that the nurses at the Albany Medical Center are being forced to reuse N95 respirator masks as many as 20 times, far beyond the maximum of 5 times recommended by the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Because, you know, we never know what we're going to get in a day. We don't know what our day is going to entail. You know, I have to sit in my car before I even walk into the ER and pray every day that we have enough PPE, we have enough resources, we have enough staff to care for these patients. So what we're fighting for today is that we know there's going to be a second wave. We need to be more prepared for that. We need to not be in the same position that we were in back in March. We need to have the staff right now so that we can deliver safe patient care, so that when the second wave comes, we have the staff that will support the volume of patients that we're going to get.
The president of the European Central Bank has claimed that the economic damage stemming from Europe's second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic is starting to slow.
To achieve gains in security, that we take a comprehensive approach and collective action. Comprehensive in the sense that it is not just military, but it's police, it's rule of law and justice, it's stabilization, both short-term and longer-term, and it's preventing and countering violent extremism. And over time, it's state building as well.
Speaking from the French presidential palace, President Emmanuel Macron stressed he won't accept a Brexit trade agreement that does not respect his long-term interest.
On the subject of Brexit, our position has been consistent. An agreement that must allow a balanced future relationship. France will not accept an agreement that does not respect our long-term interests.
And a man zigzagged an SUV at high speed through a pedestrian zone in the southwestern German city of Trier on Tuesday, killing 4 people, including a 9-month-old child, and seriously injuring 15. The driver, identified as a 51-year-old German man born in Trier, was arrested at the scene and the vehicle was impounded, Trier police said. The suspect, whose name was not released in line with German privacy laws, has no fixed address and had been living in recent days in the Land Rover that a friend had loaned him, which was used in the attack, said prosecutor Peter Friesen, who was heading the investigation. And we have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Rescue operations continue in the Bindura town of Zimbabwe, with hopes of finding survivors after a shaft in a disused gold mine collapsed last week, trapping a group of informal miners. Rain and flooding have slowed down rescue efforts. So far, only 6 miners have been pulled out and taken to hospital. Regional police reported that at least 10 miners are still trapped. However, according to the country's Miners Federation, at least 4 informal miners were trapped after the incident. Artisanal mining has been rampant in Zimbabwe for decades, but it has surged following the shutdown of most economic activities due to a COVID-19-induced lockdown.
So the last time we came here, there was water which was flooding up to the brim of the stop. Currently there's pumping which is going on. Due to this pumping which started last week, we managed to retrieve 1 dead body.
Israel's alternate Prime Minister and current Defense Minister announced his party will vote in favor of the bill to dissolve the parliament in a preliminary vote scheduled for this Wednesday. The move will force the holding of a 4th election in the country under 2 years. Gantz, who is also Israel's former military chief, accused Prime Minister Netanyahu of lying to the public, blocking appointments of key positions in the public service, delaying the approval of the 2020-2021 state budget, and appropriating to himself the credit for the accomplishment of others. He stated he will withdraw his support of the bill only if Netanyahu agrees to approve the state budget immediately. Ministers and representatives of thousands of protesting farmers failed to break a deadlock over a set of new farms law at a meeting on Tuesday. Growers from India's big northern farming state have been camped outside Delhi for nearly a week, demonstrating against laws they fear could pave the way for the government to stop buying grain at guaranteed prices, leaving them at the mercy of private buyers. India's vast farm sector contributes to nearly 15% of the country's 2.9 trillion economy and employs around half its 1.3 billion people. In talks on Tuesday that lasted several hours, Agriculture and Farmer Welfare Minister Narendra Singh Tomar and Trade Minister Piyush Goyal met more than 30 farmers. And early voting for essential workers has begun in Ghana, ahead of the general elections to be held next Monday, December the 7th. More than 100 security personnel, journalists, and staff of the Electoral Commission who will be busy on election day are expected to vote early, according to the Electoral Commission. President Nana Akufo-Addo is facing a re-election challenge from former President John Mahama in what is expected to be a tight contest. During the election campaign, the 2 main presidential candidates promised to spend more if they win. Their campaign promises come amid concerns over the West African country's economy and rising debt profile. Ghana, a major producer of gold, oil, and cocoa, suffered its first economic contraction in almost 4 decades this year as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the United Nations, acute malnutrition rates among children under 5 in war-torn Yemen are the highest ever recorded, as shortfalls in aid funding worsen the country's humanitarian crisis. On November 20, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned that Yemen is in imminent danger for the worst famine the world has seen in decades.
We need water and flour. The NGOs gave us some food for 1 month, but not for the next one. This is unfair. Anyone with 10 children is asking for food to those who don't have them. This is an injustice. I would rather a warplane hits me and I die than beg people for food.
We call on all international and local organizations to support the people of the northern Ajaf province and provide the basic needs for life, health, and food. Otherwise, we are going to face a humanitarian disaster, famine, and diseases. More than 45% of children under 5-year-old are malnourished. More than 2.5 million children are malnourished, including 500,000 suffering from acute malnutrition, which means if they don't get urgent care, they will die. A child like these dies every 10 minutes.
The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reported that almost 250,000 people have died in Yemen's war. The UN Humanitarian Office included the figure in an update within the latest Global Humanitarian Overview. It said the conflict in Yemen has intensified this year, with 47 identifiable front lines by the end of October, up from 33 at the start of this year. The report notes that the conflict, which began in 2015 with the Saudi Arabian-led intervention in the country, has already caused an estimated 233,000 deaths, including over 130,000 from indirect causes such as lack of food, health services, and infrastructure. According to the UN, hostilities have directly caused tens of thousands of civilian casualties, with over 1,500 reported in the first 9 months of 2020. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website and social media pages. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.